Welcome to Creative Tien channel. In this video, I'm going to make a pumpkin head with LK150 knitting machine. I'm using the basic worsted weight yarn, and for the eyes, I have the black color, and I don't have the Intarsia carriage for the picture knitting. So I'm going to do a very basic hand manipulated picture knitting because it's only 2 triangle shapes. You can find the Intarsia carriage online. They have the original one and also the modern version that's manufactured in China. Here's my basic charting. So for the basic head, maybe a small woman's size or a teenager size, I have totally 80 stitches. So there are 40 stitches in the front and 40 stitches in the back. So according to my sample, I have about 4.5 stitches by 5.5 rows per square inch. So let's get started. So I cast on from left 40 to right 41 because I'm going to do the mark ribbon. And I set the tension to number 8, a smaller tension for the ribbon. And I'm going to knit my first row. Now I can hang the weight. The 2 pieces should be enough. And I will start knitting. Now I have 18 rows. I'm going to fold it up and hang the cast on back to the empty needles. Now we finish the ribbon. I'm going to start the next part. And to make the next row easier to knit, I'll push out all the needles. And don't forget to hang the weight. And I change my tension to number 9, the highest tension. And change my counter back to 0, 0, 0. Now I'm going to knit 4 rows. Now we are going to start the triangle eyes. So I have to find out the location. I have 11 stitches in between the 2 eyes. So that's my center 11 stitches. And for the bottom of the triangle, I have 9 stitches. So I have 9 stitches here and 9 stitches on that side. Next is to cut some yarns. That's enough to knit the eyes. I'm going to have black eyes here. So I cut off 2 little balls and I just estimate, I think it's enough for this little pattern. So we are going to work in sections for the Intarsia knitting. We will have a section here, have a section here, another section here, and another section here. So basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections. Now I also need the yarns for the middle section. And I just kind of have to calculate approximately how many stitches. So I have 9 stitches times 11. So that's about 99, about 100 stitches plus the little stitches here. This part will be about 130 stitches. So we just try to have enough yarn to make a little bow for this section. That's for the center section. And for the 2 other sides, I'm just going to use my main yarn on the mast. So I'm not going to cut small bow for that part. I put some washi tapes here to indicate the 9 stitches for the location of the eyes. I'm going to move my carriage start from the right side and thread my yarn, and we'll do the first section first and push everything else on hold And to do it on hold, I will push the rustle lever to number 1. So when you are in the D position, you will not need. The same here. So we'll move the needles to the D position. Now we'll thread the yarn and just knit the section here. And I push the first section to the D position and knit to the right. So the carriage is back to the right side. I want to try keep it consistent, always knit from the right to the left. Now we'll do the second section. So that's 9 stitches. I can put it to the C position. You will knit back. And I have to cut this yarn and thread a new yarn. So I will place the yarn in the carriage and then knit. So now this section is knitted. Push all the needles out. Push the carriage to the right. Now the center white section, I have 11 stitches. For the middle section, it's the same. I place a yarn in the carriage. And it's easier if you have a clip or add a clothespin. And leave the yarn ball hanging down on the floor. And continue, we'll do the next section. So push this, and then the next 9 stitches. Push all the needles to D, and you can knit back. Place the yarn below, just drop it. Now I have the last section. I'm going to use a yarn on the mast. Place them to the C position. And we just have to follow the chart and keep going. Since our carriage is on the left side, you can start from the left side, or you can keep it consistent and start from the right side. So I'm going to knit 1 row from left to right, because all needles are already set up in the right position. So you knit to the right, and I'm going to cut the yarn. Now here is a tricky part. We want to prevent the holes. Let me set it up first. 9 stitches here to the C, and the first section go back to D, so you will not knit. And I'm going to place a black color below the first color. I'm going to move my carriage to the left side again. Keep it under the first color. Place it back to the carriage. I'm controlling the tension from the top with my hand. And now knit it back. Place the carriage to the left side again. And we'll do the next section. But you can see here, the cross prevents the hole. For the next section, we do the same. I found the yarn ball and place it below the previous color. Thread the yarn. So the yarn ball is on the top. And I knit right carefully. And then we can move the carriage again to the left and drop the yarn here. And find the yarn ball, make sure it's under the previous color, and go over the top of the stitches, and we can thread it back. I go from below. So the yarn ball come out from the top, and I control it with my hand. I will knit it back. Drop the yarn ball. Move the carriage to the left again. And we'll continue the same way. The last section I use the yarn from the mast. So we have 2 rows down, and we just continue the same way until we finish the chart. This time our carriage is on the right side, so we'll start the right side again. So we check our chart. You have 1 less stitch of the black on the 3rd row. That means I'm going to move this one back to either C or B, so you will be knitted. And I will knit it back. We push all the first section back to D and knit it back. And we pull out the second part. I only have 7 stitches now. And I find my yarn ball, and I try to place the new yarn under the old one, and I go from the top of the needles and thread the yarn. Make sure to cut off the first section. I'll knit it back. I'll drop the yarn, prepare the next section. So that's the center part. The rest go to the D. I'll find the yarn ball for the center section. Pick it up from the floor and go under the previous yarn. Move my carriage to the right. Go above the needles and then under the carriage. Thread the yarn like that and knit. Drop the yarn. We prepare the next section. That will be the black part, and we have 7 stitches for this row. So the rest we will place to D. Now we pick up the next section, go under the previous yarn, move the carriage to the right, go over the needles, and under the carriage, thread the yarn, and knit. In the last section, I will use the yarn from the mast. Move it to the right. Prepare the needles. Thread the yarn and knit back. Now our carriage on the left side, we'll start from the left side again. The 4th row is the same as the 3rd row, so we'll keep it the same as the last row. Now I finished the picture knitting. You can see I have a lot of yarn tails because I use yarn from the mast for the big section here, and I have to cut the yarn every time. So my suggestion is to wind up a yarn ball here, just same as the center area, and also wind up a yarn ball here, because you can see there's no yarn tails to weave in here, and it'll be easier to control the gap too. You just twist it. And don't forget to change the rustle lever back to number 2, so you will need all stitches. Now I need 27 rows. I'm going to transfer every other needle, so you will be half of the stitches, and then I will need 1 row. And I will just cut a yarn tail. Use my yarn needle, and I'm going to thread through every stitch on the needle and then take the needle off. We'll just pull it tight on the top. You can see the front, and the back side we'll just do the matrix stitch to sew it up. If all the Intarsia picture knitting thing is too complicated, you can just do duplicate stitches. And you can also add a nose here, a smaller triangle if you want. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.